Even the Buddha, in his final years, grew frail. His back ached, his strength faded. He needed rest, the same as any elder does today. No one escapes this chapter of life. Not the wealthy, not the wise, not even the most awakened being to ever walk this earth. And yet so few of us are ever taught how to meet it with peace instead of fear. Welcome to Mindfulness, your space for gentle wisdom rooted in real teaching, not empty comfort. In today's video, we're exploring exactly what the Buddha taught about sickness and aging, drawn from his own life and his own body. 10 quiet lessons that can soften the fear, the loneliness, and the weight that so often comes with growing older. 1. The river that was never solid. Long before illness ever visits us, we carry a quiet belief that our body belongs to us, the way a house belongs to its owner, solid, permanent, ours to keep. Buddhist teaching gently corrects this belief. The body was never a possession, it was always a process. From the moment of birth, cells have been dying and renewing, breath has been entering and leaving, and change has never once paused to ask our permission. What we call my body is really a river of countless small changes flowing so closely together that they appear to be one solid thing, the way a candle flame looks still to the eye, even though it is never made of the same fire twice. This is the teaching of anicca, impermanence, one of the deepest truths the Buddha ever pointed to. It does not mean life is meaningless. It means life is alive, and anything truly alive must also change, weaken, and eventually pass. A young tree bends easily in the wind. An old tree creaks and groans, its bark cracked, its branches heavier with time. Yet it is still the same living tree, still reaching toward the sun in its own way. When sickness enters an aging body, it can feel like a betrayal, as though something has gone wrong. But according to this teaching, nothing has gone wrong at all. The body is simply doing what bodies have always done since the beginning of time. There is no exception waiting somewhere for those who eat well or pray often or live gently. Every being who has ever breathed has walked this same road of change. Understanding this does not remove the ache in your joints or the weight in your chest, but it can remove something heavier than physical pain, the belief that you are the only one this has happened to, or that you have somehow failed. You have not failed. You have simply arrived, like every soul before you, at the honest truth of what it means to be alive inside a body that was always, from the very first breath, made of change. 2. Illness is not a debt you owe. There is a quiet fear that often creeps in alongside illness in later life, the fear that sickness is somehow deserved, a punishment for something done wrong, a debt finally come due. If you have ever lain awake wondering what you did to bring this suffering upon yourself, you are not alone. And I want to gently set that fear down with you now. The Buddha never taught that illness is a punishment. He taught that illness is one of the basic conditions of existence itself, present the moment there is a body made of flesh, blood, and breath. To be born with a body is to be born with the possibility of sickness. The same way to be born with eyes is to be born with the possibility of tears. It is not a moral failing. It is simply the nature of having a body at all. There is an old teaching story, not of a famous monk, but of a humble village healer who spent her life tending to the sick. One day, a grieving son asked her why his elderly mother, who had lived so kindly, now suffered so greatly with illness. The healer replied, "Kindness protects the heart, not the body. A gentle spirit does not stop the rain from falling. It only teaches us how to walk through it without becoming bitter. The son sat with this for a long while, and slowly his anger softened into something closer to acceptance. This is worth remembering when the mind starts searching for someone to blame, whether that someone is yourself, your past choices, or forces beyond your understanding. Illness is not a scorecard of your worth. It is not evidence of a life poorly lived. It is simply the shared inheritance of every living being with a body, saints and sinners alike, the wise and the foolish alike, the kind and the unkind alike. No one is exempt, and so no one needs to search for blame. When you release the question, "What did I do to deserve this?" you make room for a softer question instead. How do I want to meet this? That question does not deny your pain. It simply refuses to add shame on top of it, and that alone can lighten a burden more than we often realize. 3. Even the Buddha grew tired. It may surprise you to learn that the Buddha himself, in his final years, was not spared from illness. The texts describe him growing frail with age, his back aching, his strength fading, his body requiring rest the way any elder's body does. Near the end of his life, while traveling and teaching, he became seriously unwell after a meal offered to him in good faith, and he continued his journey in real physical suffering, supported by his attendant, resting when he needed to rest. This detail is often overlooked, yet it may be one of the most comforting truths in the entire teaching. The most awakened being in the tradition still grew old. He still felt pain in his body. He still needed help walking at times. Enlightenment was never presented as a shield against sickness or a fountain of eternal youth. It was presented as a steadiness of heart that could exist even while the body struggled. Picture for a moment an elder Buddha resting beneath a tree along a dusty road, his body tired, his breath careful, yet his presence calm, unclouded by resentment toward the very body that was failing him. He did not fight the fatigue as an enemy. He met it as one meets an old companion, with familiarity rather than alarm. His students, worried and heavy-hearted, gathered close, and he spoke to them not with complaint, but with a kind of gentle honesty about the nature of all conditioned things, that whatever has come together must, in its own time, come apart. This is deeply meaningful for anyone living with illness in their later years. You are not failing at some spiritual test that a truly wise person would pass with a young, pain-free body. Even the wisest being to ever walk this earth grew tired, grew ill, and needed rest and care. What set him apart was never the condition of his body. It was the condition of his heart while inside that body, and that, unlike youth, is something that remains fully available to you at any age, in any state of health. 4. The two storms. There is an important difference the Buddha pointed to, one that can change how illness feels from the inside, even when it cannot be cured. It is the difference between the pain the body feels and the suffering the mind adds on top of it. Physical pain is direct and honest. A joint aches, a chest feels tight, energy runs low. This is simply the body communicating its condition. But very often, the mind rushes in immediately afterward with a second layer. Thoughts like, "This will never get better," or "I am useless now," or "I am such a burden to everyone around me." This second layer is not the same as the physical sensation itself. It is a story woven around the sensation, and stories, unlike physical pain, can be gently loosened. Think of physical discomfort as weather, a storm moving through the body. Weather comes, weather passes, weather is simply weather. But the mind often adds a second storm on top of the first, a storm of fear, shame, and worry. And this second storm can rage on long after the first one has quieted. Two storms feel far heavier than one. This does not mean pretending the pain isn't there or forcing a smile through real suffering. It means learning to notice where the raw sensation ends and where the mental story begins. A sore back is a sore back. I am worthless because my back is sore is a separate thought, one that arrived afterward, uninvited, and one that can be questioned. When you can gently separate these two layers, even a little, something remarkable happens. The body may still ache, but the heart is no longer required to ache alongside it in quite the same way. This small shift, noticing the difference between what the body feels and what the mind adds, is one of the most practical and compassionate tools this teaching offers anyone walking through illness in their later years. 5. Compassion includes yourself. It is sometimes assumed that a spiritual path and medical care exist on opposite sides of life. The true wisdom means simply accepting illness without seeking treatment. This was never the Buddha's teaching. Among his closest circle was a gifted physician named Jivaka, who cared for the Buddha's own health and was warmly respected within the community. Healing the body was never seen as a distraction from the path. It was seen as an act of compassion, both toward oneself and toward those who love us. Taking your medicine, resting when the body asks for rest, accepting help from a doctor, a nurse, or a caring family member, none of this is a departure from wisdom. It is wisdom in practice. The Buddha taught that all beings deserve compassion, and you are included in all beings. Caring for your own body with the same tenderness you would offer a suffering friend is not selfish. It is simply compassion, correctly aimed. There is a small story often shared among elder teachers of an old woman who refused her medicine, believing that true acceptance meant enduring pain without complaint or care. A visiting teacher gently asked her, "If a friend came to you in pain, would you tell them to simply endure it, or would you offer them comfort?" She admitted she would comfort them without hesitation. He replied, "Then why do you refuse yourself the same kindness you would so easily offer another?" She sat quietly, moved, and from that day on, she accepted her medicine not with resignation, but with a quiet sense of self-respect. Accepting help is not weakness. Allowing others to care for you is not a burden placed upon them. It is often a gift that allows them to express their love in a tangible way. And tending to your own body, gently and without shame, honors the very life the Buddha taught us to hold sacred. Wisdom and medicine were never enemies. They have always walked this road together. 6. Suffering twice. One of the heaviest weights carried by those growing older is not the illness itself, but the fear that circles around it. The worry about what tomorrow might bring, the dread of further decline, the anxious replaying of what if late into the night. This fear often causes more suffering than the actual physical symptoms, because while pain lives in the present moment, fear lives entirely in a future that has not yet arrived and may never arrive in the way we imagine. The Buddha taught that the mind has a habit of running ahead of the body, imagining futures filled with worst outcomes and suffering through them in advance, sometimes many times over, long before anything has actually happened. This is a strange and exhausting habit, to suffer today for a tomorrow that exists only in thought. Consider a person sitting quietly in a garden, physically at rest, yet their mind is far away, rehearsing a difficult appointment still weeks in the future, feeling the fear of it as though it were happening right now. The body is safe in the garden, the mind is suffering somewhere else entirely. This happens to almost everyone, and it happens more often as health becomes less certain. The gentle instruction here is not to stop caring about your health or to ignore real concerns. It is to notice when the mind has quietly wandered away from this present moment into an imagined one, and to kindly bring it back. Ask yourself, in this exact moment, right now, am I safe? Very often in this exact moment, the answer is yes, even while larger uncertainties remain unresolved. This does not erase every worry, but it interrupts the exhausting cycle of suffering twice, once in imagination and again if the feared moment ever truly arrives. Returning again and again to this present moment, this breath, this quiet instant, is one of the most protective and peaceful practices this teaching offers anyone facing an uncertain season of health. 7. The weight of being cared for. There is a particular ache that often goes unspoken among elders facing illness, quieter than the physical pain itself, and that is the fear of becoming a burden. You may have thought it while watching your daughter rearrange her schedule to drive you to an appointment, or while your son lifted something you once lifted easily yourself. A small voice whispers, "I am too much trouble now." And that voice can hurt more deeply than any ache in the joints. The Buddha taught extensively on interdependence, the truth that no being exists alone, sealed off from all others, needing nothing. Every person who has ever lived has depended on someone else, as an infant depending on a mother's care, as a student depending on a teacher's patience, as a traveler depending on a stranger's kindness along the road. Receiving care is not a departure from this natural order. It is this natural order simply arriving at your door in a different season of life. There is an old teaching often shared in village communities about a great tree that had grown crooked and could no longer bear fruit as it once had. Younger trees around it worried it had become useless, taking up space and sunlight without giving anything back. But an old gardener explained that the crooked tree's roots held the hillside soil in place during heavy rains, protecting every young tree planted near it. Its value had never disappeared. It had simply changed form, becoming something quieter, something the young trees could not yet see or understand. You may no longer be the one cooking every meal, driving every mile, or carrying every burden alone. But your presence still holds something no one else can offer. A lifetime of memory, a particular laugh, a familiar voice at the end of the phone, a steadiness that comes only from having lived long enough to have truly seen life. Allowing your family to help you is not you failing them. It is you allowing love to move in its natural direction, the same direction it once moved when they were small and you were the one lifting them. You did not become less valuable the day you began needing help. you simply arrived at a new way of being loved, one that asks you to receive as generously as you once gave. This too is part of a life well lived, and there is no shame in it, only the quiet dignity of allowing love to complete its circle. 8. The practice of a single breath. When the body is unwell, the mind often searches for a large solution, a full recovery, a permanent fix, a return to how things used to be. And when that large solution feels far away or impossible, despair can settle in quickly. But Buddhist practice has always pointed toward something far smaller and far more available: the breath moving in this exact moment. You do not need strong legs to breathe. You do not need a pain-free body to breathe. Whatever state your body is in today, the breath is still there, quiet and constant, asking nothing of you except your attention. The Buddha taught that awareness of breath, simple and unadorned, is one of the most direct paths to a settled mind, available to absolutely anyone, regardless of age, regardless of illness, regardless of how the body is feeling in this particular hour. Try, if you are willing, to notice your breath right now as you listen, not changing it, not forcing it, deeper or slower, simply noticing it arrive and noticing it leave. This one breath does not require you to have solved anything. It does not require the illness to be gone or the future to be certain. It only requires this single moment of quiet attention, which is always, always within your reach, even on the most difficult days. There is a gentle image sometimes used to describe this practice, that of a small lantern kept lit inside a house during a passing storm. The storm outside may be loud, the wind may rattle the windows, the rain may pour without pause, yet inside, the lantern continues to burn steadily, undisturbed by the weather beyond the walls. The breath can become this lantern. The illness may be the storm outside, real, loud, and impossible to ignore. But the breath, quiet and steady, can remain lit within you regardless of what the storm is doing. This is not a technique to erase pain or force positivity onto a difficult day. It is simply an anchor, something solid to return to when the mind becomes overwhelmed by everything the body is going through or everything the future might hold. One breath, then another, then another. Slowly, gently, this single small practice becomes a quiet companion, one that never asks you to be anything other than exactly what you are in this moment, breathing, present, and still here. 9. What remains when the body changes? There is a quiet form of grief that often accompanies illness in later life. A mourning not for someone who has died, but for a former version of yourself, the version who once climbed stairs without thought, who once stayed up late without consequence, who once moved through the world without carefully planning each step. This grief is real, and it deserves to be honored rather than dismissed. But Buddhist teaching gently invites a deeper question beneath this grief, one worth sitting with slowly. If the body you once had is now different, and the body you have now will one day be different again, then what exactly has remained constant through all these changes? What has been present through childhood, through the strength of youth, through the tiredness of these later years? The teaching points towards something quieter than physical ability, something that was never dependent on strong knees or steady hands to begin with. Call it awareness, call it presence, call it the simple fact of knowing that you are here. This quality has witnessed every version of your body across your entire life. The child's body, the young adult's body, the body you carry today, and it has never once required those bodies to remain the same in order to remain fully present itself. Picture someone standing at the edge of the very same river across many decades of their life, once as a child throwing stones, once as a young parent watching their own children play nearby, and now as an elder simply sitting quietly on its bank. The river has changed entirely. New water, new current, new season each time. Even the person's body standing there has changed just as completely, and yet something quiet within them has stood at that river's edge through every single one of those years, unchanged, still simply here, still simply watching. This does not mean your physical losses are not real or that missing your former strength is wrong. It means that grief and steadiness are able to exist together, side by side, without contradiction. You can mourn what has changed while also resting in what has never actually left you. That quiet awareness, watching through every version of your life, through every year, through every illness, through every recovery, has never once required you to be young, strong, or well in order to remain fully, completely present. 10. A peaceful way to carry what comes next. There is a particular kind of fear that tends to visit in the quiet hours, especially for those growing older. The fear surrounding what illness might eventually lead to, and beneath that, often unspoken, the fear of death itself. This is one of the most human fears there is, and pretending it does not exist rarely makes it lighter. Buddhist teaching does not ask you to pretend. It offers instead a way of turning gently toward this fear rather than away from it. The Buddha taught that death is not separate from life, an intruder that eventually arrives uninvited, but rather a natural continuation of the very same process that has been unfolding since birth. Every breath you have ever taken has included a small ending, the out-breath, followed by a small beginning, the in-breath. You have been practicing this rhythm of ending and beginning every single moment of your entire life without realizing it was preparation for anything at all. This does not mean death should be welcomed without any grief, or that fear is a failure of practice. Even long-practicing elders in this tradition have described moments of fear near the end of life. And this has never been treated as a flaw. It has been treated as simply human. What the teaching offers is not the removal of fear entirely, but companionship alongside it, a way of holding fear without being consumed by it. There is an old reflection sometimes offered to elders nearing the final chapters of illness, that a well-lived life is like a lamp that has burned brightly through the night. As dawn approaches and the lamp's flame grows smaller, this is not a failure of the lamp. It is simply what lamps do as morning arrives. The light it gave through the night, the warmth it offered to those nearby, none of that disappears simply because the flame itself is now growing quiet. Its purpose was never to burn forever. Its purpose was to give light for exactly as long as it was needed, and it did. If you are carrying fear about what lies ahead, you are not failing at this path. You are walking it honestly. Let yourself feel what arises without judging it as weakness. And when you are able, return again to this present breath, this present moment, this present day, still here, still worthy of peace, still deserving of gentleness, exactly as you are, for exactly as long as you are here. Wherever you are in your journey with illness or age, I hope these teachings have offered you something to rest in tonight. You are not alone. You have never truly been alone. Every elder before you has walked this same tender road, and you are walking it with more grace than you may realize. If this brought you comfort, consider staying a little longer, exploring more teachings gently offered here for hearts in every season of life. Thank you for sitting with me today. May you be well. May you be at ease. May you be at peace.